three kinds of calculators. First is an arithmetic calculator that simply does the four operations: addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. It's often called a four-banger for that reason. The second kind is a scientific calculator. It will calculate those things, of course, and in addition, trig functions like sine, cosine, log functions, and in particular, exponential functions. But the most powerful calculators are ones like you see here, a TI-84. There's also a TI-84C for color, and there's TI-83 works in exactly the same way. All three calculators program as this one does. This is a very powerful tool. Of course, having graphic capability is good, but being able to devise programs that allow you to carry out your the tasks particular to you is a very important contribution that these calculators make. Okay, so let's see how to do this. I'll turn the calculator on, and since we want to write a program, I'll press the program key. Now there's already a program in the calculator. It's called polygons, and I'll refer to that later. But we want to enter a new program. So I'll use these scrolling keys, down, up, left, right. I want to move to the right. Notice it says execute, edit, and new. I scroll over to new, and I again press enter, and I'm set to enter a program. The first program that I'm going to have you do is very simple. I'll have it record your name. So we could call the program simply name. We've got lots of names here right now. Now normally if you want to print a letter on the calculator screen, you have to press alpha to change the calculator into letter mode and before you type the letter. For example, if you wanted to type an A, which is on this key, you would type alpha A. But in this particular situation, because the calculator knows you're going to use a letter name, you don't have to do that. So all I'm going to do here is simply type name, N-A-M-E. Now I've named the program, I press enter, and I'm prepared now to enter the steps, the tasks that I want the calculator to do. Well, the task this time is very straightforward. I simply want to have it display your name. Now, we're already in program mode, and this program key has an additional feature, a very important one. I'll press it again, and it gives me a number of alternatives for kinds of steps that I can put in this program. Instructions. It has control instructions, which are very important, we'll come to in later lessons. These are input-output instructions, and then there's an execute, which has a special role we'll come to much later. Well, this time, I simply want to display something, which is number 3 here. I could either just type 3, or I can scroll down to 3 and press enter. Aha, my first instruction then is to display. Now, this time, I do need to use letters. Now, I could type alpha before each of the characters. Instead of that, I could use this second key and lock the program in alpha mode, at least temporarily. Now, I need to put quotation marks around what I want to display, so here are the quotation marks. And then I'll use my own name here. My name is Gerald Rising, so I'll say G, and here's a space for Gerald, and my last name, let's see if I can find an R here, R-I-S-I-N-G, and I have to remember to put the quotes in at the end of that as well. All right, now that's enough for the whole program. I'm going to put one more thing in here. I'm going to add a step that says display owner. Again, I'll say display. And again, I have to go into this because I've done other things in between. I have to go into alpha mode, and I'll say quotes owner O W N E R and end quotes. I'm great at forgetting to put those end quotes in. Now there's a simple program. I'm going to, by the way, notice these colons at the beginning of each step. Those separate the steps. There is a key down here that has a colon in it in alpha mode, and I could have just written the instruction in a kind of paragraph form, but having them separated like this is better. And each time I press this enter key, it gives me an opportunity to write a new line. I could put more here at the end, but the program will simply eliminate them. All right, now I want to get out of this programming mode, so I'll type second quit. Now I'm back to my home screen. I want to run that program, so aha, there it is in my list of programs. Now this time I do want to use execute. I don't want to edit or add a new program, so I simply press enter. That calls up the program, and now I run it with another enter. There it is. Aha, our first program is completed. By the way, don't type my name in your calculator. Type your own name, of course. By the way, this is a very simple program, but it's kind of a useful one. I can use the clear key to get that out there. Many people don't know anything about programming. So if your calculator is misplaced or happens to be picked up by someone, I think the operative word is steal, you can identify your calculator simply by making this kind of a check. All right, now that didn't do much, so I want to make a second program that will actually do something. This is going to be a very pedestrian program, but it has a kind of an interesting feature that I'll mention in the second of these videos. All right, let's make this program. We go into program. We want to make a new program. In this program, I'm simply going to call game for a reason I'll explain later. G-A-M-E. And recall, I didn't have to use alpha mode for the name of a program. And in this program, I'm simply going to add 5 to whatever number the user puts in. Now, first of all, I need to accept a number into the program. And in order to do that, that also comes under input-output, I'm going to use this instruction prompt. And let's give this value a name. Let's call it S. Here's the number we're going to input. And by the way, variables in this calculator are single letters. So now what is that going to do when the program is run? It's going to print on the screen S question mark. I didn't have to print the question mark there to do that. And you type a number and and press enter, and the program will go ahead and do the rest of the calculation. Now what do I want to do? I want to add 5 to S, so I'll say alpha S plus 5. Very straightforward. Now that's going to calculate a new number, but I need a place to put it. So I want to store that, and very simply we could call that A for answer. All right, now I've done the calculation, but in the program I certainly want to tell the user what that answer is. We know how to do that. I go into program again, input, output, display, and what do I want to display? A. So I type alpha A. Now there's a little program that will add 5. So it does something. I'll quit here, and I'll call up the programs. Well, game comes first. The programs, you notice, are listed alphabetically. If I run that program, note here's the S asking us for some number. Suppose I put in 7. Now you're ahead of me, I know. The answer certainly is going to be 12. If I put in, and by the way, I could run this again as long as I don't type something else first, simply by pressing enter. And this time let's put in -2. If I am going to add 5 to that, certainly should get 3. All right, everybody see what that does? I'll show you a little more about that program and why it's called game in the second of these lessons. Now look, I've done very simple things here. Let me assure you that this calculator does many more complicated things. I'll illustrate that with the other program that I put in here beforehand. That's this program Polygons. It's a program with, I think, 15 or 16 lines to it. And let's see what that does. I called it up, and I press Enter to run it. It asks me for a number. Suppose I use 5. Let's see what that does. Hey, it draws 5 pentagons, 5-sided polygons in a circle. Well, let's clear that out and run it again. What does it do if I put in 6? Well, 6 hexagons. The 6 for 6-sided figures. By the way, there's an optical illusion here. I think you could see that, some of you will see that that's the front corner of a cube. Others will see that this is the front corner of a cube. And sometimes you can switch back and forth. Let's try one more. Suppose I put 8 in. I get an even more complicated optical illusion of this kind. Well, that's our first lesson. You've learned how to make a program now, and we'll move on from here in later lessons.